Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gretchen, and I'm going to be leading you through your Yin store class today. So before we begin, just go ahead and grab, if you have any blocks, that would be really great. Just even one. If you have two, grab two. I've also grabbed a bed pillow off of the bed. So if you have a bed pillow or some pillows from the couch that you can kind of keep close by. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. And just a small fold-it blanket or towel, like a beach towel will do. Just to have those things handy that you can grab at any time during your practice would be really helpful. And it looks like it is noon, so we're just gonna hop right to it today. So I'm just gonna have a seat. What we'll be working on today is a class for anxiety. I've noticed in the last several days, seems like our social climate has gotten a little out of control. I've noticed some things on social media that can be triggering and a little anxiety inducing, especially as we're kind of going into these new stages of what rolling out and opening up the community looks like. And so I know for myself that I've been a little bit more anxious than I have been in the last several weeks. And so today's class is really designed to help you settle into a new space, kind of always tapping into the parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest, so we can just find a little bit more ease throughout our day as new expectations are rolled out on us. So the first thing that we're going to start off with is Nadi Shodhana breath. And our breath work is going to be a little differently today. Instead of alternating left side then right side with breath work, we're just going to do about 10 breaths on the left side, and then we'll do 10 breaths on the right side. And so what that's going to look like is plugging the right nostril with your right thumb. And you can let your eyes be heavy, close them if you'd like. And just take a moment to fully breathe out. So take an inhale and an exhale. Go ahead and plug your right nostril and inhale through the left nostril. And then just exhale right out through the left nostril. We'll do that again. Inhale through the left nostril. And exhale through the left nostril. You're keeping your right nostril plugged the entire time. We'll go ahead and do 8 more rounds of breath through the left nostril. Inhale. And exhale. Again, inhale. So you don't have to wait for me. If your breath is longer or if your breath is shorter, do what makes sense in your body. Exhaling when you're ready. We'll do 6 more rounds. And exhale. Complete 5 more rounds. Three more. Last two. When you finish out your exhale, release your right hand down. Just take a moment. And so now we'll be moving into the right nostril. So we'll be doing 10 breaths, inhaling through the right nostril only. The left nostril will be plugged. So take your left hand, plug your right nostril, left fingertip, pinky finger to the forehead. Plug your left side and inhale through the right. And exhale. Again, inhale. And exhale. You'll be completing 8 more rounds of breath. You have 6 more rounds. Just remember, you're filling up your lungs to their capacity. And then emptying them as much as you can all the way out through the right nostril. 5 more. Three more rounds of Nadi Shodhana breathing. And last one. When you finish out the exhale, release your left hand down to your lap. Just take a moment. As we go through practice today, we will be using a wall for a few poses. So if you can just shift your mat to the wall now, it might be a really nice opportunity so you don't have to break up the flow. So Nadi Shodhana is alternate nostril breath. That's what we just did. And it is balancing both the left and the right side, right brain. So a deeply calming and relaxing breath that you can do. So you can always alternate breathing in through the left side, holding the nose, and then breathing out through the right, breathing out and breathing in through the right, holding both, and then breathing out through the left. Or you can do what we just did, inhaling and exhaling just through the left side first, and then working into the breath work in and out through the right nostril for about 10 breaths. So the first pose that we'll be coming into today is child's pose. And so for child's pose, you'll be taking your knees nice and wide. I'm going to grab a bed pillow today, and because I want a little bit more lift. And so you can place your pillow underneath your chest, knees nice and wide. If you can't quite get your seat down towards your heels, you can always roll up a blanket and place it behind the knee creases. That gives a little bit of lift. I like it. My hips have a tendency to get pretty tight, and so it feels really nice, just that extra lift. And then once you feel situated through the legs and the hips, you'll take a moment to inhale, breathe in nice and tall, lengthen your chest. Exhale, send the torso over your pillow. You can look to the right, you can look to the left, or you can look straight down. We'll hold this pose today for 5 minutes. And so I'm timing all of the poses, so around the 2.5 minute mark or so if you're looking towards one direction. I'll let you know so you can switch your sides. Arms can be up overhead. If your shoulders feel tight, your arms can always come down by your sides. And if your thoughts feel racy today, know that that's okay. It's common. Just breathe. So give your mind a job. And I talk about this a lot in my classes, but just give your mind a job. And that job is just to focus in on the breath going into the body and the breath coming out of the body. As your body wants to fidget, once you've settled in, see if you can resist the urges to move. I know that's hard. It's hard to just settle in and to be in a space where we have to feel everything that's coming up. But this is where your practice of stillness comes into play. Allow yourself to just be the observer of your thoughts. Trying not to provide a meaning or a story behind what's coming up, but instead to just recognize it and then give yourself the permission to let it go. Let your body naturally soften into the shape. So try not to force a deeper expression of the pose. We're just about at the halfway mark. So if you'd like to turn your gaze to the opposite direction, let yourself turn your head. See if you can find stillness within the body. Your eyes can be opened, maybe a single point of focus, or eyes can be closed, heavy. Breathing is natural. We have just a few more rounds of breath. Take one more round of breath.
And as you feel ready to move, slowly begin to work your way up and off of any props that you're using. Gently place your props off to one side. And just take a moment to come into tabletop pose. And once you come into tabletop pose, just kick around your legs a little bit. Find some extension. Maybe drop your right foot as you press energy out through your right heel. And switch your sides. Alrighty. And then go ahead and have a seat. So the next pose that we'll be coming into is bridge pose. So I am going to grab a block for this. You can make this work with a stacked pillow, just placing it underneath your sacrum. And if you're unsure, your sacrum is the very low part of your back. There's a triangular piece of bone. If you feel around, you can feel that flat space. And that's what we'll rest today on a block. So if you have a block or a pillow, you could even use like a meditation cushion. Go ahead and lie down. And so we'll do a few stages of this pose. So I like to start low and then gently work up. And so let's start low today on the lowest level, and then we'll go just to the middle level. If you want to start middle level, then go to the highest level. Just choose what's appropriate for your body. The longer your legs and torso, the higher the block the better it might feel in your body. So you just have to kind of play around and make some adjustments. So how to come into it is you want to grab your block, and again, I'm going to start off on the lowest level, and I'm going to lift up my hips. And once I lift up my hips, I'm going to slide the block underneath my sacrum. So we just talked about that. So I have the block underneath my sacrum. I'm going to settle back down. And then your arms can be by your sides. Let your shoulders roll open. Your shoulder blades gently hugging towards each other. Knees pointing to the ceiling. And then just take a moment to lengthen the back of your neck. So you want to tuck your chin slightly. Your chest lifting towards your chin, but your chin lifting from the chest. And we'll be here for about 3 minutes, and then we'll take it up to the next level. If during this pose, I know I always like to have my hip flexors get a little bit of stretch and openness. And so if you would like, so you can stay here with your knees if that feels satisfying, then stay. You're always welcome to extend one leg long onto the floor, heel touching the floor, one leg bent. You're also welcome to extend both legs, but you want to be aware of too much pinchiness in your lumbar spine. So if you choose to do one leg, stay for, we have about 40 or so seconds before we move to the next level. So give yourself a couple rounds of breath before you switch your sides. See if you can allow your body to soften a little bit more towards the floor. Get a little heavier. And now's about the time that if you bent one leg, go ahead and switch it out. Notice your breath. If it feels jagged, if it feels anxious. I know sometimes when I come into these quieter poses, I have a very hard time settling down. I have a hard time connecting with my breath. It's natural. I feel like I need it more than ever. This is when you might want to bring in some of Vritti breathing, which is an equal part breath. So you can bring in a little bit of a controlled breath work as you are in these poses. It'll create a deeper relaxation. If breathing naturally suits you, you know, this practice is really about what makes sense in your own body. So if you need a controlled breathing to help you relax a little bit, take that controlled breath. All right, let's take a deep breath in. Go ahead and rebend both knees. And now we're going to take the block up a level. So lift up your hips, flip your block to the middle level, and then again, settle your sacrum back down, make any adjustments, roll your blades on the back side towards each other a little bit. So your chest is open, your pectorals therefore will open up as well. Good, again, elongate the neck. So the tendency is to kind of lift up the chin to the sky, and there's this crunchy feeling in the back of the neck. We don't want that. And so if that's happening to you, you can always grab your blanket and fill the space between the neck, your neck, and the floor. So that way your neck is long, your chin is slightly tucked. Your shoulder blades might roll off the floor depending on the cush of your blanket. So see if you can keep your blades down, so make any necessary adjustments. If any deep sighs need to come out, let them go. Keep focusing in on your breath, on your breathing, especially as your thoughts wander. Can you let your shoulder blades ease towards the floor a little bit more? Can you find a little bit of a settling feeling in the body? If you need a more grounded sensation, you can flip your palms so they're touching your mat. We have one more round of breath. If this feels delightful and you'd like to stay as you are, stay. We're going to just take about a minute in a supported shoulder stand. So take one leg, reach it up towards the ceiling, as well as your opposite leg. Take a moment to adjust the shoulders. And your legs don't have to be super upright. They can even be at a slight angle. And now for this minute here in this shape, start to breathe deeply, inhaling through the nose. And exhaling. do a controlled breath here. Inhale. And exhale. Stay with that pattern. Let's take 2 more rounds of breath. Last one. As you finish out your exhale, gently release your foot to the mat, followed by your opposite foot. Lift up your hips, remove the block, lower your hips back down, and just take a moment to extend your legs long and just lie flat for a moment. If you'd like to go a little wider with the legs, go a little wider with the legs. Same with the arms. And when you're ready, we'll roll to one side. So choose the side that makes sense. Whatever side you want to roll to, do. Even if it's the left side. Oftentimes we roll to the right, but sometimes we feel like we need to roll to the left, and that's okay. And then slowly begin to press yourself up. The left side is a little more lunar. It's a little slower, it's a little quieter. So sometimes I feel like I need to roll to that side, and because I'm restful and I want to stay that way. So always choose what makes sense. Okay, the next pose that we're going to come into, time is flying, is Paschimottanasana. It's a seated fold. And so the first thing I'm going to do is grab my blanket, and I'm going to use it to sit on. Now, if you have a meditation cushion, you can sit on that. When you sit on your blanket, you don't want your buns right smack dab in the middle. So you want to scoot to the very, very edge. You're hanging off essentially. And what that's doing is giving you the proper tilt, the anterior tilt of the pelvis for a fold. So we don't want to be super rounded in the lumbar spine. So we want to stay and keep with the natural curvatures in the back. So the next thing I'm going to grab is my pillow, my bed pillow. And I'm going to place it on top of my legs. I don't want to go super deep into this pose because this is not my intention for this practice, especially to help reduce anxiety. And so the more support that you have, the more rested your body will feel and will be able to relax on its own. It's really tapping into the parasympathetic nervous system. So once you have the pillow or blankets or whatever you need on top of your thighs, take an inhale, lift up the chest, and exhale, fold over your blanket. Now arms can be out in front, and again gaze either to the left or to the right or straight down. And we'll be here for 5 minutes. Let your toes soften, your feet soften, and ankles. Instead of contracting and tensing the muscles, see if you could allow them to release. If you're feeling a deep stretching sensation, you're too far. So you really don't want to feel that. So you can grab an extra blanket or pillow and put it on top of the one that you already have. Seated folds are very restorative. So the longer you stay in this shape, the more benefit you'll receive from it, as long as you're safe while you're in the shape. You might find that as your body relaxes into the pose, that you can ease your body a little bit deeper. We don't ever want to force the body to go deep, especially in these type classes. What will happen is if you're stretching too much, your body's going to pull back and you'll counter what you're doing. We want to do this safely and gently and softly. In vinyasa classes, we're oftentimes activating the muscles so we can stretch within a safe parameter. So we're engaging while we're stretching. And in these type classes, you're stretching without the contraction oftentimes, and so you don't want to go to the very deepest edge. That's where injury can come in. So you're really feeling it out and just ever so soft, so gently and softly easing your way and feeling that first edge, just a little bit of sensation. And then as the pose opens up and unfolds, then you can open up and fold a little deeper into the pose. Go ahead and switch your sides, your gaze, if you've been looking towards one side. Notice any physical sensations in your body that you're feeling. This is a really nice time to just check in, to really know the intricacies of your body as you move, what feels really fantastic, and what movements or positions make your body feel maybe a little bit pulled or stressed, tense. If you're pulling back in a shape, maybe start to just think about or observe why that's happening. Are you pushing yourself to an edge, to something? Is there an injury, an old injury that might be lingering? We have just a few more rounds of breath. Take one more inhale. Let it out. And when your body is ready to move, slowly begin to lift your torso up and off of your props. Go ahead and take your prop off to the side. Alrighty. Any class that's working on anxiety would be incomplete if we didn't do some legs up the wall. And so we're going to start off with just a plain legs up the wall. And if that's feeling amazing in your body and you want to stay for the next series of poses, by all means, stay. So we'll stay there for about 5 minutes, and then we'll gently work our way into a butterfly position at the wall. And then we'll eventually come into a figure 4. So opening up the hips and the outer glute muscles as we go. So to come into legs up the wall, if you've never done it before, it's wonderful. It is an inversion. And it's a very, very relaxing, calming inversion. So I'm on my hardwood, so I'm gonna grab an extra blanket and just lay it out so I can have some support underneath my hips and back rather, and spine. And then to come into the pose, you want to come pretty close to the wall. You can give yourself a little bit of space, but you want to come fairly close to the wall. And then as you lie down with your back, you'll slowly spin your legs up the wall. So as I lie down, I'm spinning, so now my legs are up the wall. Now, if you have a little blanket or if you have a meditation cushion that's not too big, you can always put it on top of your feet. Even a nice cork block will do, and that's just a little grounding. So you can take your block on top of your feet. Arms rest by your sides, and again, give your shoulder blades a little tuck in. Good. And if you need to make any adjustments, like hips a little closer to the wall, that'll help create a little bit of length in the hamstrings in a nice, gentle manner. So we'll be here again for 5 minutes. I'll stay fairly quiet for this pose. It's just such a really beautiful way to really tap into quieting everything down. It's also physically wonderful for the feet and the ankles and the legs, carrying our body all day long. So it's a really nice way to just get the blood flow away from the lower extremities. If you're hearing outside distractions, I know that I am. Take a moment to acknowledge those outside. So listen for sounds outside of the room that you're in, even outside of your house. And then slowly begin to bring the awareness from the outside back into your home, into the room that you're in, and just into your space. Notice if you're carrying any tension in the legs. See if you can soften any muscular contraction. Maybe notice if your hands are in a fist. See if you can uncurl your fingers. Notice if you're carrying any tension in your shoulders and your neck. See if you can drop your shoulders a little bit. We have about 3 more, just a few more moments if you want to take a few deep breaths. Take one more inhale. And then we'll be moving our way into a Baddha Konasana pose. So if you have a block on top of your feet, go ahead and remove it. And then you'll slowly begin to slide down the wall, bringing the soles of your feet together. Good. And so remember that first edge. We don't want to go into our deepest stretch. You can gently place your hands on top of your knees. We'll just be here for about 3 minutes. Hands onto the inner thighs and inner knees. Not to push them open by any means, but just as a gentle support. You could also take one hand to your heart space and one hand to your navel space. What feels better in your body? Have any sensations come up moving from a straight leg position to a bent knee and more compression in the hip flexor position? Remember, if some sensations are coming up that don't feel amazing, we never want pain. But if the sensation is just uncomfortable, try to just sit in that discomfort. We've been sitting in a lot of discomfort lately. Maybe it's been on your mat, but I know that many of us might be feeling some discomfort when we're not on our mat and we're just going through our daily life. We have to sit in that discomfort. We will come out on the other side of it. We have to feel that all of the good, but we also sometimes have to feel all of the yuck to go along with it. It's not an all or it's all or nothing, right? We have to feel all of the emotions and ride that roller coaster. And that roller coaster plateaus sometimes and then it goes back. Alrighty, take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. So we're slowly going to bring the knees together as we take the feet back up the wall. Now, as we come into the figure 4 position, I'm going to move my hips are pretty tight. And so I'm going to move away from the wall, not a ton, but a fair amount of space, enough that I can get my left leg into a 90 degrees. So I want to bring my shin parallel with the ceiling. And then once I do that, I'm going to scoot back enough that I can take my right ankle over my left thigh. So I'm creating this figure 4 position. So give yourself a few moments to get yourself situated. The closer you're going to the wall, the deeper your stretch. I'm not going very close to the wall, but I still feel quite a bit of stretch. So we'll be here for about 2 minutes. Well, let's do 3 minutes. I'm not flexing my right toes back. I'm letting everything soften. And as I am experiencing some discomfort in my outer right hip, what I'm going to do to be able to stay here for those 3 minutes is just breathe. And as I breathe, I'm going to focus in on that spot. Remember, you never want to be experiencing pain. So if you think you're going to come out of this pose and really it's going to maybe have an effect later on in the evening that's causing pain, reassess the situation. Go a little further from the wall. You can stay in that Supta Baddha Konasana position, or you can always just go back up 2 legs up the wall. Lengthen the back of your neck. Remember, you can always grab your blanket to support the space between the floor and your neck, so you don't have space. So it's filled up and it's supported. Don't forget to breathe. Give your mind the job of focusing in on the breath, noticing the inhale, noticing the exhale. Take 2 more rounds of breath. And then when you're ready, slowly take your right leg off of your left. If you'd like to hug your knees into your heart space, or bring the soles of your feet down onto the floor, lift up your hips, give them a little shake. And then go ahead and take your right foot, right shin is parallel with the ceiling. Left leg comes up, left ankle over the right thigh. Soften the left toes. And we'll start another 3 minutes on the clock. Notice, or you might notice, that one side feels a little bit better than the other side. I like to always know which side feels a little bit more uncomfortable. If that's my dominant side, what maybe I'm doing, am I favoring something, or if I've had an injury and I'm compensating. So this is just like a little window into your body. All of these poses, especially when we're slowing down, when we're quiet, we have this opportunity to look through this little window into our body. Our body has so much to say. We just have to be quiet and still to listen, to hear what's going on. You have just 2 more rounds of breath. And when you're ready to move, gently uncross your left ankle from your right leg. And again, take any little movements that your body might be craving, whether that's a little bridge or hammock pose. And then when you're ready, roll over to your side. Rest your head on your arm. And slowly begin to press yourself up to a seated pose. Alrighty. Okay. So we have just one more pose before we start to settle in for a savasana. And our final pose is crocodile pose, another deeply relaxing pose that helps reduce anxiety. So you'll notice that I've taken a blanket and I put it, I folded it, so it's a long rectangle, and I just put it parallel to the top edge of my sticky mat. You don't need a blanket at all if you don't have one or don't want to use one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lie down on my belly, and I'm using the blanket that I put underneath me to support my chest. Again, definitely not necessary. And then all I'm going to do right here is stack my hands on top of each other. We'll be here for 3 minutes. And rest my forehead on my hands. Let your heels fall out to the side. So take any tension out of the ankles and out of the legs. So let your legs fall open, however that may be. I'm taking my arms a little further away from my body so I can feel my chest melt down towards the floor. We haven't been on our belly much, so notice how the change from being on the back to the belly feels in your body. It's a pretty grounding sensation, being so close to the earth. So you might feel a little bit more grounded if you're not loving it. Maybe just allow yourself to be in it a little longer, finding that silence, so you can learn a little more about why your body might not like what it's doing. Take 2 more rounds of breath. And when you feel ready to move, we'll meet in a seated position. Take any little movements that you need on the way up to a seat. Alrighty. So we began class with some breath work, and I would like to end class with some more breath work. This pose is called Brahmari, and it's called bee breath. So if you're watching and you have children at home, it's a really sweet little pose or breath work to do with them. You're making a humming sound that's coming out of your mouth. So what you'll do, it's really cool because the vibrations that are being created from your hum, you have your hands on top of your head and it's vibrating the nerves on the brain, right? And it's like this, and it brings this deeply calming sensation and that washes over the body. And so how we do that breath is you're going to take your thumbs and plug your ears. So put your thumbs in your ears. So don't do it just yet. We'll talk through it. So you'll take your thumbs and you'll plug your ears. And then you're going to take the rest of your fingers, your 8 fingers, and you're going to put them over the top of your head. You want to spread them nice and wide. So you want to really cover the skull. And then you'll take an inhale. And on your exhale, you'll be humming. There's this vibration that is being created through this hum. So let's do about five rounds of breath. I mean, even one round is relaxing. So we'll do 5, and then as you finish, just take anything that you need and find your way into Savasana. And I will call you out of Savasana in a few minutes. So we'll start by plugging the ears, spreading all 8 of your fingers, placing them over your skull. Eyes can be opened, eyes can be closed. I like mine closed for this one. Now, take an inhale. Work the rest of the 4 breaths at your own pace. As you finish out your 5th Brahmari breath, find your way into Savasana. I'll call you out in about 2 or so minutes. Begin to deepen your breath. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. If you would like to take a full body stretch, take your arms up overhead. You can also give yourself a big hug. Maybe shift from side to side a little bit. Roll to your side. Rest your head on your arm. And slowly press yourself up to seated pose. Bring your hands to heart space in Anjali Mudra. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide you through your afternoon practice. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings be happy and free. I bow to you all. Namaste.